Welcome to 10 Minutes a Day, a daily reading of the Catholic Church's social encyclicals. Today we continue with Populorum Progressio, written by Pope Paul VI in 1967. Man is not really himself, however, except within the framework of society, and there the family plays the basic and most important role. The family's influence may have been excessive at some points in history and in some places, to the extent that it was exercised to the detriment of the fundamental rights of the individual. Yet, time-honored social frameworks, proper to the developing nations, are still necessary for a while, even as their excessive strictures are gradually relaxed. The natural family, stable and monogamous, as fashioned by God and sanctified by Christianity, in which different generations live together, helping each other to acquire greater wisdom and to harmonize personal rights with other social needs, is the basis of society. There is no denying that the accelerated rate of population growth brings many added difficulties to the problem of development, where the size of the population grows more rapidly than the quantity of available resources, to such a degree that things seem to have reached an impasse. In such circumstances, people are inclined to apply drastic remedies to reduce the birth rate. There is no doubt that public authorities can intervene in this matter within the bounds of their competence. They can instruct citizens on the subject and adopt appropriate measures, so long as these are in conformity with the dictates of the moral law and the rightful freedom of married couples is preserved completely intact. When the inalienable right of marriage and of procreation is taken away, so is human dignity. Finally, it is for parents to take a thorough look at the matter and decide upon the number of their children. This is an obligation they take upon themselves before their children are already born and before the community to which they belong, following the dictates of their own consciences, informed by God's law authentically interpreted and bolstered by their trust in Him. In the task of development, man finds the family to be the first and most basic social structure, but he is often helped by professional organizations. While such organizations are founded to aid and assist their members, they bear a heavy responsibility for the task of education which they can and must carry out. In training and developing individual men, they do much to cultivate in them an awareness of the common good and of its demands upon all. Every form of social action involves some doctrine, and the Christian rejects that which is based on a materialistic and atheistic philosophy, namely one which shows no respect for a religious outlook on life, for freedom, or human dignity. So long as these higher values are preserved intact, however, the existence of a variety of professional organizations and trade unions is permissible. Variety may even help to preserve freedom and create friendly rivalry. We gladly commend those people who unselfishly serve their brothers by working in such organizations. Cultural institutions also do a great deal to further the work of development. Their important role was stressed by the Council. The future of the world stands in peril unless wiser men are forthcoming. It should also be pointed out that many nations, poor in economic goods, are quite rich in wisdom and can offer noteworthy advantages to others. Every country, rich or poor, has a cultural tradition handed down from past generations. This tradition includes institutions required by life in the world and higher manifestations, artistic, intellectual, and religious, of the life of the spirit. When the latter embody truly human values, it would be a great mistake to sacrifice them for the sake of the former. Any group of people who would consent to let this happen would be giving up the better portion of their heritage in order to live. They would be giving up their reason for living. Christ's question is directed to nations also. What does it profit a man if he gain the whole world, but suffer the loss of his own soul? The poor nations can never be too much on guard against the temptation posed by the wealthier nations. For these nations, with their favorable results from a highly technical and culturally developed civilization, provide an example of work and diligence, which with temporal prosperity the main pursuit. Not that temporal prosperity of itself precludes the activity of the human spirit. Indeed, with it, the human spirit, being less subjected to material things, can be more easily drawn to the worship and contemplation of the Creator. On the other hand, modern civilization itself often complicates the approach to God, not for any essential reason, but because it is too much engrossed in worldly affairs. The developing nations must choose wisely from among the things that are offered to them. They must test and reject false values that would tarnish a truly human way of life, while accepting noble and useful values in order to develop them in their own distinctive way, along with their own indigenous heritage. The ultimate goal is a full-bodied humanism. And does this not mean the fulfillment of the whole man and of every man? A narrow humanism, closed in on itself and not open to the values of the Spirit and to God who is their source, could achieve apparent success, for man can set about organizing terrestrial realities without God, but closed off from God, they will end up being directed against man. A humanism closed off from other realities becomes inhuman. True humanism points the way toward God and acknowledges the task to which we are called, the task which offers us the real meaning of human life. Man is not the ultimate measure of man. Man becomes truly man only by passing beyond himself. In the words of Pascal, man infinitely surpasses man. Chapter 2. The Common Development of Mankind. The development of the individual necessarily entails a joint effort for the development of the human race as a whole. At Bombay, we said, man must meet man, nation must meet nation, as brothers and sisters, as children of God. In this mutual understanding and friendship, in this sacred communion, we must also begin to work together to build the common future of the human race. We also urge men to explore concrete and practical ways of organizing and coordinating their efforts so that available resources might be shared with others. In this way, genuine bonds between nations might be forged. This duty concerns first and foremost the wealthier nations. Their obligations stem from the human and supernatural brotherhood of man and presents a threefold obligation. Number 1, mutual solidarity, the aid that the richer nations must give to developing nations. Number 2, social justice, the rectification of trade relations between strong and weak nations. And number 3, universal charity, the effort to build a more humane world community where all can give and receive, and where the progress of some is not bought at the expense of others. This matter is urgent, for on it depends the future of world civilization. If a brother or sister be naked and in want of daily food, says St. James, and one of you say to them, "Go in peace, be warm and filled," yet you do not give them what is necessary for the body, what does it profit? Today, no one can be unaware of the fact that on some continents, countless men and women are ravaged by hunger, and countless children are undernourished. Many children die at an early age. Many more of them find their physical and mental growth retarded. Thus, whole populations are immersed in pitiable circumstances and lose heart. Anxious appeals for help have already been voiced. That of our predecessor, John the 23rd, was warmly received. We reiterated his sentiments in our Christmas message of 1963 and again in 1966 on behalf of India. The work of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, has been encouraged by the Holy See and has found generous support. Our own organization, Caritas Internationalis, is at work all over the world. Many Catholics, at the urging of our brother bishops, have contributed unstintingly to the assistance of the needy and have gradually widened the circle of those they call neighbors. But these efforts, as well as public and private allocations of gifts, loans, and investments, are not enough. It is not just a question of eliminating hunger and reducing poverty. It is not just a question of fighting wretched conditions, though this is an urgent and necessary task. It involves building a human community where men can live truly human lives, free from discrimination on account of race, religion, or nationality, free from servitude to other men or to natural forces which they cannot yet control satisfactorily. It involves building a human community where liberty is not an idle word, where the needy Lazarus can sit down with the rich men at the same banquet table. On the part of the rich man, it calls for great generosity, willing sacrifice, and diligent effort. Each man must examine his conscience, which sounds a new call in our present times. Is he prepared to support, at his own expense, projects and undertakings designed to help the needy? Is he prepared to pay higher taxes so that public authorities may expand their efforts in the work of development? Is he prepared to pay more for imported goods so that the foreign producer may make a fairer profit? Is he prepared to emigrate from his homeland if necessary, and if he is young, in order to help the emerging nations